Hello everyone, it's Nytbelle, welcome back, and today we're going to be playing Roman's Christmas. I know Christmas is a little bit behind us, but we're still going to be trying to get through this game, and I still, do not trust Thrivey. I don't know if you guys are all thinking that. Yeah, I know Anzox was also kind of suspicious, but my vote's on Thrivey. So, let's see if I'm right or not. Without too much further ado, let's get right on into it. I already saved, so. After a thorough search, I asked everyone to come into the hall for trial. Anzoc sat in the chair with his tail wrapped around the chair leg like a python. Solar was whispering something to Elegant, her mouth hidden by a handkerchief. Thrivey stood by the counter, staring at the rag in Sarzan's hand. Let's go through this. Heron's death. Was it murder, or was it accidental? Trial start. I don't think anyone here murdered him, says Solar. So you believe this was an accident? No, I believe he was killed by a ghost. An old friend of mine told me that if someone died with strong resentment, they would linger in this world as a spirit until they get what they want. You little old something lady. Anyway, since Vincent failed to kill Heron while he was still alive, his ghost returned to take vengeance. He was that angry? Well, I mean, he killed two innocents. Let's make something clear. Usually we don't take ghosts into consideration if we still have living people as suspects. If you need to choose someone to question, then I choose Anzox, says Elegant. Why? Says Anzox. According to the autopsy, Heron was poisoned by a large dose of belladonna. Yeah, with the people thing that I was talking about earlier. Belladonna makes your eyes bigger looking. So Elegant's talking about it. In high doses, belladonna poison causes pupil dilation and asphyxiation. They can't breathe. But in small doses, it makes bards meet with their muses in happy dreams where they are blessed with inspiration. And you do have a half-full bottle of belladonna potion with you, right? I drank it myself, says Anzox. Can you prove it? Says Solar. But Heron was a priest. He wouldn't drink this much when he's on a mission, right? Says Anzox. Are you sure? Almost everyone here knows that Heron would never refuse a chance to have a drink. Please don't speak ill of the dead, says Solar. Sorry, but really don't have room for niceties here. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe Vince's ghost did kill Heron, says Thrivey. I didn't expect you to say that, Doctor. Anyway, let's figure out who had the chance to kill him last night. We got two suspects this time. Anzox. Oh, Anzox? Anzox, there we go. One of them is Anzox. Sarzan. He went upstairs after me. It is possible. And another one is Thrivey. One of them's Thrivey. I went to the attic before you. Sorry. I still believe him. He's evil. I don't trust Vincel to be... So, Sarzan doesn't seem like he has a reason to. Elegant, no reason. Thrivey apparently is not allowed. Solar has no reason. Do I have to say Vincel? I really don't want to say Vincel, guys. Let the dead rest. It wouldn't be Solar. One of them Solar. So we assume the murderers is either Anzox and Solar for now, both of whom went upstairs after Sarsen. I demand to state my testimony to prove my innocence, of course. Actually, technically speaking, you're still a noble. There's no need to be so nervous. That's right, but I won't admit something I didn't do. Then state your testimony, please. Testimony. I didn't want to go back to my room early last night, so I stayed in the hall to listen to Anzox play his lute. At first it was clear and sweet as a lullaby, but soon he started speeding up the rhythm, and the tune went really strange. I was a bit disturbed by the tune, so I went upstairs to go to bed. When I went upstairs, Anzox was still there with Heron. So I was not the last one who saw him alive. Something smells fishy. Maybe I'll press harder. The tune? You were disturbed by his music? Yes, and I don't know why. It was like he lost his mind. It was like an evil spirit was urging his fingers to play that melody. I think we can just leave out the whole evil spirit thing. Oops, I'm sorry. What should I ask? So you refused to return home? Why didn't you want to go back to your room earlier? I didn't want to be alone, let alone going back to a room that was filled with hair sand. Couldn't smell any remaining traces of Lunic, but who am I to judge? Yeah, even people, like, if you're around someone long enough, like, you get really accustomed to their scent, and either you go noseblind to it, or, like, it's the one scent that you're gonna smell. What should I ask? Anzox and Heron. So Anzox and Heron were the last two people downstairs? Yes. And the last witness. So Anzox was the last one who saw Heron alive? I think so. Alright. Nice. Please add what you said to your testimony. With pleasure. You can state your testimony again. Testimony. I didn't want to be alone in my room last night, so I stayed in the hall to listen to Anzox's lute practice. Anzox's tool was full of rage, so I was disturbed, and so I went upstairs. When I got upstairs, Anzox was still here with Heron. In other words, Anzox was the last person to see Heron while he was alive. Hold on. Hold it. What? Your testimony obviously implicates Anzox. You basically just told us Anzox is guilty in a roundabout way. It makes me curious, if you're so certain that Anzox is guilty, why did you say this? Solar's testimony makes Anzox look suspicious, but her thought earlier was that it was Vincel. If I can find it. God, pollen. If I can find it. Thrivey, Sarsen, Solar. Solar said that Vincel's ghost killed Heron last night. But now her testimony makes Anzox the most suspicious one. The reason might be to cover up for herself. Which I don't believe, but, you know. Or did you want to blame the ghost for your murder, then change the target to Anzox when you failed? None of that. I just want Anzox to prove my innocence. If Anzox confirms your statement, then you're innocent, but it also turns him into the only suspect. I guess it's my turn now, says Anzox. Yes, please state your testimony. We're just going to ignore the random elegant. Testimony. Last night, I played my lute for a while till I got tired and went back to my room. Heron was still alive then. I've used up that half-bottle belladonna juice, and it was definitely not suitable for poisoning. Also, there's a wound on the back of Heron's head, isn't there? I don't have a proper weapon that would leave such a wound. Regardless, I didn't poison Heron, and I had no reason to do so. Something smells fishy. So what did you last see? What was he doing when you went back to your room? Was he drunk? He was praying while counting the beads on his rosary, and he wasn't drunk. Okay. Where's the belladonna? Can you explain where the rest of the belladonna went? I've used that bottle of belladonna juice a dozen times. Each time I dropped 1 or 2 drops into my cider and drank it. It's really quite expensive, and I'm not so wasteful as to use half of the bottle to poison someone. But there's one piece of evidence that contradicts your statement. What contradicts his testimony? other than the likely belladonna. This is for later. Instead of... Where'd I go? I just saw it. Hang on. So the bottle of belladonna potions he dropped accidentally, it's half empty. According to Heron, he took half the juice and didn't use it to poison Heron. After poisoning Heron, Burger struck him on the back of the head. Sergeant went upstairs. And remember that the back of the loot is not what he's talking about right now. So, I guess it's going to have to be that it was likely belladonna poisoning. No matter what you said, the way Heron died is certain. He was poisoned with belladonna. And in the entire tavern, you're the only one with that potion. But what about the wound, says Anzox. Don't worry, we're getting to that. The lethal weapon. You actually always carry something that you could hit somebody with. And that would be the loot. Yes. Piece of varnish that came off the back of Anzox's loot. As a matter of fact, the paint on the backside of your loot has come off. It makes sense if it had come off if you'd hit someone with it. That was an accident, damn railing. I would never use my beautiful loot in such an awful way. This is true, because he is a fancy boy, musician boy. And what would you use? In short, the problem of the belladonna cannot be solved at the moment. We can only assume that it was added to Heron's cider by someone. And even then, I don't know if it was just belladonna. If we do, Heron's death could be easily explained. It's because of the poisoning effect of the potion. The poison for Heron. Heron's poison. He is. Anzox, this is a serious accusation. You added the belladonna to Heron's cider and invited him to drink with you. You were trying to poison him. However, because the poison doesn't kill instantly, Heron must have tried calling out for help, right? That's when you hit him on the back of the head with your loot, accelerating his death with both poisoning and brain damage. But I definitely didn't kill him, says Anzox. Surely there must be some way to prove that there's no belladonna juice in that cider, right? I don't want to believe it, but we can't really prove that the cider... Wait, I can prove it, says Anzox. Anzox impulsively dropped the loot and strode to the bar counter. He pushed Thrivey, who had been squatted beside Heron's body, aside before grabbing the mug and downing its contents in a single gulp. And thus I shall prove my words to be true! Anzox, completely unshaken by what may have been an act of suicide, slammed his mug down like every time he finished his drink. Are you out of your gosh darn mind? You may have just killed yourself, you giant red idiot! And then if I'm guilty, it saves you the trouble of hanging me. He wiped the cider remains on the corner of his mouth with his hand and smirked, waiting for that certain moment to come. But let it not be said that I died without fanfare. The corner of Sergeant's mouth twitched slightly. Anzox, meanwhile, leaned on the bar counter. Expectant silence swallowed the room as we waited. I don't appear to be dying, says Anzox. Ah, and here I had my hopes up for nothing, says Elegant. Hold it. What? I meant your innocence has not yet been proven, says Elegant. What? I just drank a whole glass of that stupid poisoned cider. Did you drink the rest of the cider as well? Aside from that, there's still one possible explanation. Remember how you survived from that ladder blow? The ladder on the second floor that would have killed anyone else? It clearly shows that dragons are harder to get fatally injured. It may be possible that you accurately formulated a dose of belladonna juice that would be fatal to Heron, but not to you. He's just a little party boy, are you sure? That's nonsense. If half my belladonna juice is in that cider, that would have been 10 times the regular dose I used for myself. I don't even feel dizzy. And I know very well that I'm not missing any more than half the bottle. Strange. The autopsy did show, though, that Heron died from poisoning. How did he die from poison even though there's no belladonna juice in his cider? There was another poison method or the autopsy went wrong. Okay, so here's the thing, guys. Remember, that mug that Heron had smells the exact same as all the other mugs. So it doesn't. I don't think it was actually poisoning. Autopsy might have been wrong. If Anzox proved there's no poison in the cider, there's no other way to poison Heron with it. I should reconsider the facts. Doctor, don't take this as a critique of your professional skills, but can you be 100% sure that Heron died from poisoning? Well, says Thrivey, because right now it seems like the real cause. What's the reason for Heron's death? Knock in the head? Other poison? Or the ghost did it? Knock in the head. It wasn't poison at all. It's more likely Heron died from the blunt injury to the back of his head. So, it wasn't poison? Then the autopsy must have been mistaken. And you had the nerve to suspect me? Just our bond as roommates mean nothing to you, Thrivey? Wait, please. I didn't mean any of this. I want to testify. Fine by me. Testimony. I may have made a mistake in the autopsy report. However, the how of Heron's death doesn't make a difference in this case. At the time of death, that hasn't changed either. In brief, I believe that Heron was killed by Vincel's ghost. Something smells fishy. Maybe I'll press harder. So why doesn't it matter, first of all? Why would you believe that the cause of death doesn't affect the final result? Because no matter how, it's caused by a ghost. Uh-huh. And the time of death? 8 hours ago. An hour before Sarzan went upstairs. An hour before Sarzan went upstairs, he was killed. That's implicating Sarzan. And why do you say the ghost killed him? I think that's the truth this whole time. Is it that you're trying to cover for someone? What's the real cause of Heron's death? The blunt injury to the back of his head. Then why did you get it wrong? Because I'd forgotten that it could also cause respiratory arrest. I'm sorry about the mistake. You know, I recently was rewatching Lord of the Rings, and there's this part where Legolas shoots that guy. I don't remember if it was an Uruk-hai or an orc or something, but he goes and kills it, and he calls it his kill. But Gimli, because this is while they're doing their little battle for the most kills, Gimli's like, dude, why'd you do that? Because he was sitting on it. And Legolas is like, well, he was twitching. And Gimli goes, he was twitching because my axe is embedded in his nervous system. And he, like, kind of wiggles his little axe to show it. I would assume that if a dwarf knows that an ouchie to the head means issues everywhere else, a doctor should know that. Yes? It's okay, you've been a great help so far. I rest my case. Please reorganize your testimony and add in what you just mentioned. Okay. Okay. Please testify again. Testimony. The true cause of Heron's death is the blunt injury to the back of his head that caused him to stop breathing. However, the how of Heron's death doesn't make a difference in this case. The time of death is 8 hours ago. I'm so sure of it. In brief, I believe that Heron was killed by Vincel's ghost. Thrivey, I know you don't believe one of us is the murderer, and you want to cover up for him, but you also have to try harder to trick me. What are you trying to say? I'm pretty sure falsifying an autopsy and lying during testimony violates your professional ethics. I think you know who the murderer is. Why not just tell us? Testimony. I lied in my testimony because I don't want to see anyone else die. It was a slip of the tongue when I said that the cause of death doesn't matter. You are really messing with this, Thrivey. The time of death is 8 hours ago, that's for sure. I didn't expect anyone here to have belladonna juice, of all the blasted luck. Hey, says Anzox. Hold it. Sorry. And of course people would think it's mine because you already said so. I wouldn't believe it at first as well. I'm sorry. But I really didn't kill him, says Anzox. Wait. I believe something is wrong, says Elegant. Like what? What would Anzox do if he really was the murderer? Other than pinning it on Vincel's ghost, he'd bribe Thrivey? No, he won't bribe Thrivey because he's low on his cash. He'd pin it on Vincel's ghost. He'll try to persuade people that Vincel's ghost attacked Heron. Right. And there were 2 people who have done this. Let's see. Solar. One of them is Solar. She might have said that. Is there anyone else? Thrivey. Where's Thrivey? Here he is. One of them is Thrivey. Both Solar and Thrivey have mentioned that. However, Anzox never talked about a ghost. If Anzox was the murderer and opened the window in Vincel's room trying to convince us that his ghost came back for revenge... But then he never said a thing about the ghost? Doesn't that seem strange? Now, it seems Thrivey is more suspicious. First, changing the results of the autopsy, then mentioning the ghost, and I have yet to figure out why you emphasized the time of death so many times. The time of death. The time of death is 8 hours ago, that's for sure. The time of death is 8 hours ago, I'm sure of it. 8 hours ago, an hour before Sarzin went upstairs. What if Heron actually died later than we know? Like, before sunrise? Or after Anzox went upstairs? Like, is there any chance that Heron got killed after Anzox went upstairs? Nonsense. Anzox went upstairs... Oh, sorry, please repeat. Anzox went upstairs very late at night. Definitely not after that. How did you... I could hear you climbing up into the attic. You're not exactly graceful. I thought I was quiet, says Anzox. When you went upstairs, did you see Thrivey in his bed? Of course. I need more details. I went back to the attic at about 1 o'clock at night, says Anzox. Everybody was asleep, so I climbed up the ladder quietly. After I climbed upstairs, I saw Thrivey and Sarzin laying in their beds. The candle in the attic had gone out, so I felt my way over to my bed and fell asleep. I was completely silent. Something smells fishy. So was Heron still alive when you went up? How was he doing when you went upstairs? I told you he was praying and wasn't drunk. Okay, lay in the bed. Were they both on the bed? Yes. Or in their beds. But you said it was pretty dark. Both of their quilts were plumped up, and I could hear Sarzin snoring. Well. So you didn't make any sound. Except for when I climbed into the bed. I think it creaked a bit. It's the old feather pillow trick. Please reorganize your testimony, add in which was just mentioned. You heard nothing about pillows? Alright. Please testify again. Testimony. I went back to the attic at about 1 o'clock last night. Heron was counting beads on his rosary, and he wasn't drunk. Everybody was asleep, so I climbed the ladder quietly. It was pretty dark in the attic. I saw both Thrivey and Sarzin lying on their beds. Their quilts were plumped up. I was sneaky the whole time, trying not to disturb anyone, except for a creak when I climbed on the bed. Wait, that's it. Hold it. What? I got it. What you saw wasn't Thrivey sleeping, but... What was the thing that plumped up the quilts? Oh, I can find it? Cool. Let's see. Thrivey's case, maybe. His medicine case. It might have been. Big and heavy. And there were heavy indentation marks on Thrivey's bed and Anzox's bed. What you saw wasn't Thrivey, but his medicine chest tucked under the quilt. There was visible indentation in Thrivey's bed today. I guess we've got an explanation for that. In other words, when Anzox went upstairs, Thrivey wasn't in bed. Then where would he have been at that moment? In the hall, in the cellar, in the kitchen, or in the toilet? He must have been hiding in the toilet. In the restroom. We all saw him go upstairs. Well, oh, I can go up. He could have been in Vincel's room. In Vincel's room. Thrivey was in Vincel's room when Anzox went upstairs last night. He waited till Anzox went upstairs and then went downstairs to kill Heron. It isn't like that, says Sarzan. Hold it. What? I've checked every door lock before I went to sleep, even the rooms that were empty. I can make sure that Vincel's room was locked. You can make sure. I guess you would swear. I doubt that. What? Now it seems your testimony has flaws. Sarzan. When I went upstairs last night, there were still some people downstairs. Then I pushed every door on the second floor, making sure they were locked properly. I went to sleep after that. What's the flaw? Pushing the doors. Yeah, he didn't make sure they were locked, he just pushed them. The problem is, did you really check that properly? What do you mean? When you said you checked out the locks, what you really did was push each door and turn the doorknob, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If the door doesn't move when you pushed it, and doesn't open when you turn the knob, then it's a locked door. Isn't that obvious? Let me put it this way. You didn't use the key to check if they were locked, right? True, but it didn't seem necessary. I think the murderer could easily muddle through this level of security check. How did they get past the check? They would have just held the doorknob. They can't lock the door. But either if you push the door or hold the doorknob. I guess push the door in this case, if you hold the doorknob. Depends on the kind of, lock that he has, honestly. Because some doors, the knob doesn't turn. But other doors, the knob will turn, but then it'll stop. So I would, do both, but I guess hold the doorknob from inside. Right? I think, yeah. Yeah, hold the doorknob, I guess. They held the doorknob from inside. All the murderer had to do was hold the doorknob, and then nobody would know if the door was locked or not. That way, the murderer could hide in Vincel's room and wait until everybody was in the rooms, and then go downstairs to kill Heron. Therefore, we know the time of Heron's death, the truth behind Vincel's supposedly locked door, and how the murderer killed Heron after Anzox went upstairs. Time to sort things out. Fast Q&A. What goes first? Weapon. We upon. Hello? There we go. The weapon which killed Heron is something heavy. Blunt trauma and a contusion to the face. Let's see. We don't actually know what it is in this case. So I can just say it was something heavy. Right? Let's see here. Fatal blunt trauma wound. East unoccupied rooms, Vincel's door, Vincel's window, Anzac's bed, Thrivey's bed, medicine case. The only thing you can say in this case is the medicine case, but that makes no sense. Unless it was like something from the medicine case. But I don't know if that's what this game is trying to lead me to. I hope so. Thrivey's medicine cabinet. I doubt anyone here would be able to lift that heavy thing enough to hit Heron in the head, says Elegant. No, that's not what I mean. I guess I'd have to talk about the autopsy then. Could it be this one? Think before you speak. Ah, rude. So we have decided that it is blunt force trauma that killed him. But there's nothing here that I can use as a... No one touched the muds. The thick book? Maybe? A survey book. My book may be thick, but it's too expensive to hit people with. I have some pretty expensive books that I wouldn't mind smacking people with. Or tossing to fires. And besides, have you not noticed that there's no impact marks on my book? True, a book can't be lethal, but if you add another thing to it, then you could use it as a weapon without leaving any marks on it. What turned it into a weapon? Love and trust. Possibly rope. If you tie the book up with ropes and swing it in the air, it can cause plenty of damage. That would still leave the mark of the rope, isn't it? That doesn't appear to be true of my book. So... It wasn't? You can't have, like, just shoved a knife into your book. That's weird. He did not roll it up. That leaves cider. But I don't know how that would... I guess it would make it heavy and squishy. The trick is the cider you pulled on your book. The book was totally soaked by the cider, right? Both the pages and the cover? Usually, a soaked book would be harmless, but the weather was the key ingredient. If you put a soaked book outside the window, it would be as hard as a rock in a matter of hours. With an ice-covered frozen book, even if the victim bled on it, it'd be easy to clean off. And there wouldn't be any trace of damage to the book's cover. You just need to unfreeze it inside your room after you use it. That was interesting. Modus operandi. Here's how things played out. Detective Bootsman. Okay, so. The suspect... Let's see here. The suspect opened the door to Vincel's room. Held the doorknob tightly. Oh no, we had to talk about the book. The suspect knocked over the cup and soaked the book. And then, the suspect opened the door to Vincel's room. Oh no, if you kept the book outside of Vincel's room... Or, you know, just go downstairs to kill Heron with the book. Yeah, okay. Hang on. Let me put this in order for you guys. Put the book outside Vincel's room. So here's what happened. He knocked over the cup and soaked the book. And then he took it out and left it outside of Vincel's room, because you know how we still have that ledge? And then he opened the doors to Vincel's room, held the doorknob tightly to make sure that Sarzan wouldn't think that the door was unlocked, and then went downstairs to kill Heron with the book. That's what I'm thinking. 3 other chips are in their position. What? What do you mean? So you didn't wait. Didn't drink the cider. So these are correct. It's just out of order? You knock over the cup and soak the book. confused. Because they didn't wait in the attic and they didn't drug him. So these are the right things, just in the wrong order. So 1 is you knock over the cup and soak the book. And then 2 is put the book outside of Vincel's room. Oh, I guess you'd have to open the door of Vincel's room first if they put it outside. I'm confused. Okay, here we go. So 1, soak book. 2, open the door to Vincel's room. 3, put the book outside of Vincel's room. 4 is hold the doorknobs tightly and then go downstairs to kill Heron. This is a sequence of events. Suspect. Though I don't want to say it, the murderer is Thrivey. I totally want to say it. I don't trust him. I didn't trust him from the beginning. He's weird. Thrivey murdered Heron. You know my height, right? Besides, why would I kill him? Your height won't affect your plan, and next I will talk about the motive. Motive. About the motivation, I gotta guess. In my opinion, the problem is... Heron, I'm going to prove that no matter what I was before, I've changed. That I now walk the right path into the guidance of God. Sergeant, thank you. I know it's not exactly easy. I was intending to be the watchman, but I'm afraid I'd fall asleep at this point. Heron, thanks. I hope you all can trust me. For although I was tempted by the devil a long time ago, I have rid myself of my sin with God's guidance. Thrivey, oops. What was Thrivey's motive? Okay, so Heron was on night watch. That was his whole motive. Revenge for Vincel. Collusion with Vincel, or being free from sin. Man, I wish I could save. So if Heron was on... Well, we can cut this out. He was talking about God's guidance. And I wonder if that might have been what got at Thrivey. If I didn't get it wrong, you overturned the cup after Heron said he was free from his sin. Maybe. I can't remember clearly. I guess you don't agree with what he said. Further on, perhaps he hurt you before. Heron was sent to a monastery by his parents in his teens, so you started a feud with him before that. What could a teenager do to make someone hold a grudge for a lifetime? Stop. Huh? You know nothing about me. Did he just break his mask? Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to exculpate Heron, I'm just thinking. Bullying, right? Stop! Shut up! Stick him right. Done. To summarize... Case brief. Heron volunteered to be the night watcher last night, claiming to have moved past his sinful history. Maybe you'd forgotten about him, or forgave him, but his announcement probably made you furious. So either as a part of your scheme, or just sheer indignant rage, you overturned a mug full of cider and soaked your book. Vincel had committed suicide yesterday because he had accidentally killed Peter. Killing Heron and blaming it on Vincel's ghost would have been quite convincing, but you needed to help it along. You took your book upstairs, climbed up to the attic, stole the key to Vincel's room from the key holder, and then opened the door, put the book outside. Put the book outside, waited till it was frozen. At that point, Sarzan hadn't gone upstairs, so you put the key back in place, stuffed your medicine chest under your sheets, and blew the candles out so it looked like you were asleep. Sarzan, being exhausted, wouldn't think to check. After finishing your preparations, you went back to Vincel's room and waited until all of us were in our rooms. When Sarzan came to check the doors, you just held the doorknob from inside to mislead him into thinking that the door was locked. Once he was done, you came out from Vincel's room and left the window open. Then you went downstairs with the frozen book to confront Heron. It was midnight. Heron was probably dead drunk, lying on the table. With this weird looking thing back in us. But then you decided to make him actually dead when you hit him on the back of the head with a hard, frozen book. Then you cleaned the bloodstain off the book, made sure Heron was dead, and then went upstairs, moved your medicine chest out of your bed, and went to sleep with nobody the wiser. Then, when Sarzan came to ask you about your autopsy, you suddenly remembered that Anzox drank cider with belladonna juice, and Heron's death resembled belladonna poisoning. So you decided to pin the blame on Anzox. That should sum everything up nicely. I couldn't even make the slightest guess about what Heron did to make you hate him so much. But, well, I understand how much you want revenge. But still, first do no harm, right? Mm-hmm. I don't want to say that, but yeah. It's do no harm and take no poop. It's fine. I've accomplished what I wanted to do. Dying with satisfaction after delivering my revenge is probably the best ending I could have hoped for. I wanted to fight back ever since I was young, yet I did not have the strength to do so at the time. And then he went to the monastery, and I thought I'd never meet him again, until 4 days ago when he stumbled into this tavern. It was like he just stepped out of my memories, fully formed. Sure, he'd successfully convinced everyone that he was reformed, a proper member of the clergy. Even I was almost convinced. But after last night, I knew he hadn't changed, and he never would. Well, I'd better get going. Thank you for taking care of me these past few days. Wait, where are you going? Said Sarzan. Thrivey wrapped his coat tight and lifted his medicine chest. I know where people like me should go. I'll go there alone. No need to help. There's a blizzard outside, Jill. Sarzan moved to block the door, but he was a bit too slow. Thrivey opened the door and walked out into the blizzard without hesitating or looking back. He walked slowly, dragging his medicine chest, marching through the knee-high snow. Snow blew in from the tavern door, melting against my muzzle as I squinted. Thrivey's figure in the blizzard grew smaller and smaller, more and more blurred, until at last he disappeared into the endless white. His body... Vanilla Ice. His body was found by some street sweepers after the blizzard finally ended. He had collapsed from hypothermia, his frostbitten paws tightly clutching the belt of his medicine chest, his fluffy white fur coated with a thick layer of snow. People showed great respect to the young doctor who insisted on fulfilling his duty even during a deadly blizzard. I heard that the Rimph Diocese is raising funds to build a bronze statue in his honor. Everything changed after the snowstorm. I went to the judiciary with Sarzan. We spent a few days testifying, then I went back to my office. When I climbed the stairs to my office, I froze at the door at what I saw in the safe. Not expecting any visitors, I see. Elegant. How'd you find my office? I am a professional, Roman. Besides, where else would I wait for you so you could fulfill your promise? Oh, you have a quest for me? At least wait till I earn some money. Oh, I fear your money troubles are over for a while. After solving the White Star Tavern case, there will be tons of clients ready to commission you, Detective Roman. Meanwhile, I nobly sacrificed my financial future to save you from certain... Alright, I get it. Don't worry, I'll make sure to pay you back. Then perhaps I should stay here while I wait for that payment, just to keep an eye on you, you know. You don't have to keep wearing that nun habit. Well, only if you don't mind the mess. However, the public was more interested in the 12 people in the White Star killing each other. Though, if they knew the number of patrons was 13, the story would have been more ominous. White Star Tavern became unbelievably popular after the incident. Some came to visit the famous homicide scene or spend a night in one of those rooms. Though unwilling, Sarzan still rents the rooms to those lodgers in exchange for a tripled room fee. His only request is that all lodgers must leave a white flower on the nightstand before leaving the room. Anzox was asked to stay at the White Star permanently to help Sarzan deal with the guests. No entering the kitchen, though. His unfinished story remains unfinished, mostly because he's now busy telling the guests what happened during that Christmas. Sometimes he also tells the guests about me, I assume. Some of my clients claim that they came because they heard my name from the best bard in Rim. Maybe I'll have to wait for a long time before Anzox finishes the story of Draconia. As for Solar, on the day the snow stopped, she bought Elegant's clothing and she just rushed out of the tavern. I've never seen her since. Maybe she went back to Cordoba out of range of Apollyon's law. My friends Cain, Yanis, and Peter were left in that snowy Christmas forever. I won't be able to taste Cain's carrot stew ever again, even though I never really liked it. Yanis won't clap me on the shoulder either. Sometimes I think of what would have happened if he told me about his sexual orientation. He needed a lot of Jesus. I'd never be his lover, of course, but at least I could listen. I never got the chance to write Peter's letter. But even if I did, I wouldn't send it to Hela. If she had seen that letter, would she shed a tear for Peter? Although I have to admit, since that incident, my detective agency has become quite famous. With so many cases, I got too busy to sleep, even with Elegant's help. But I still wish that I could have prevented that incident from the start. If only I could go back to that tavern, back to that Christmas Eve. Maybe, just maybe, I could have saved them. Even if that means I will remain a nobody. Unfortunately, time cannot be reversed. Get to the bottom. Time to get up. I think we did it, guys. What could have been? A happy couple. Haven't seen him. I think, even though we finished the story, there might be some merit in actually redoing it. Now that we've finished it once, I'm not sure if that's just me looking too deeply into this, but it might be a possibility. Oh no! I was right. The end with a question mark! Ah! We still didn't get a true end. There's a restart. Well, I think that restart is best for next time. So thank you everyone so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've been enjoying the strange voices that I've been making. And I was right about Thrivey. Ha! I just had an issue with it from the start, man. But yes, please do not forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what I can do to make this better for you, because at the end of the day, I just want to make one person at least happy if they watch my videos. And you guys mean a lot to me. So, thank you again. I hope you have a wonderful day, night, sleep, whatever it is that you guys are doing. And I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye!